Hey everyone, welcome to Coffee and Darts. I'm your host Matthew, and we have an exciting show for you guys today. Danny Lauby is going to be joining us here in just a minute, and we're going to be talking darts with the young Danny Jr. and having some fun with that. I think it'll be a good conversation. But before we get into that, I do want to thank my sponsors, of course, Shot Darts over at shotdarts.com. Check them out. They've got some really cool new barrels out celebrating their 50th anniversary. And as always, Magicwear. They are there for your jersey needs, and they do some incredible custom work as well as right off the shelf stuff. Let's see. Danny was running a little bit late, but let me see if he is available. So give me a second here real quick. Hey, Danny.
Hey,
how you doing?
how's it going? Good.
I'm good. Hey, so we are live.
Alrighty.
And thanks for joining the show. Thanks for coming on. And how are things on your end of the world?
Oh, pretty good. I'm in my studio now, so at least there won't be any interruptions. It's kind of crazy in my house right now with a baby and 4-year-old. So
Yeah, I understand that. I got my 6-year-old and my 4-year-old. They're watching TV right now. We'll see how long that lasts, though. So.
Good luck.
Yeah, exactly. I have darts on in the back here, so my son he'll just go watch darts and he'll be happy. So
awesome.
So anyway, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you. Watched your career the last couple of years. I was in Vegas 2018, which was a fun year to watch you play. And of course, the year prior to that, but 2018 was a kind of a breakout year in regards to your play there in Vegas. I did want to ask, because this is a typical question that everybody wants to know, is how did you get into darts? And you have a slightly different story than most. I think you're the first person I've talked to that their father was a professional darts player. So, how did you get into darts, and what was it like playing your dad?
Well, that's exactly it. Honestly, I don't remember ever not seeing him, being around darts because of him. The house we grew in, like the dining room, the main room of the house was where he had his dartboard, and the guy is a workaholic. He practiced so much, and so I just remember seeing him practice all the time. So I just kind of naturally started getting into it myself when I was really little. Had the dartboard on the floor, and I was just always around it. And eventually, he took me to my first youth tournament in Indianapolis. There was the St. Pat's Open in Indianapolis, and I played a youth event. I think I was 8 or something, and I did well. I remember I don't think I won that event, but I won the next year, and I got hooked after that. Just the adrenaline and competing and everything, and it wasn't until I was I don't know, 11 or 12 when him and I really started taking the practice kind of seriously. He really started noticing me taking it seriously, and we would just have practice nights every Saturday, sometimes twice a week. And I'd play 401, he'd play 501, and I'd never win. And then eventually I started playing 501. I was probably 12 or 13. And I remember just for 3 years, it seems we'd play 50 games and I'd win 5. I just got crushed for 3 years. And I think that's really what got me good fast, was I was just able to take it. I know a lot of people probably, it stopped I think as soon as it stops getting fun, at least from my angle, as far as teaching drum lessons here, as soon as things start getting kind of difficult and not easy and not super fun in the moment, a lot of people kind of, stop doing it. But I never felt like that was an option for me. So I just kept getting crushed for 3 years. And then, I started winning 20 out of the 50 games, 25. And then we started getting really even there. And then when I was 15, I got to go to the youth world, or not the BDO, the youth masters thing in England for the BDO. And everything else is just I've just been plugging along since then,
Just getting it to fall in place. Yeah, when things become work, youth tend to shy away from it. That's never
Yeah,
been, that's
it's
been the case
fragile.
since history. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because I play my son and he's 6.
Mhm.
We play a lot of soft tip because I don't feel safe with steel tips in his hands. Um, he's got a 4-year-old sister, and occasionally they bicker. So we play a lot of soft tip, but we play a lot, pretty much every day because
Cool.
we do math with it.
Yeah.
We're doing homeschool, so we're using it as math class, and more or less we're just having fun. But he literally has beaten me, close to 30 times in the last year or so. He beat me 3 times in a row. He's getting to be a little, he loves it. I mean, he loves the challenge of playing darts. So
That's awesome. Yeah,
it's
I remember. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, go ahead.
As far you said the math thing, darts really helped me a lot in school with math. When I was learning my numbers, I remember it was a huge, like during that time I was learning my outs. So there was my dad put a out sheet to the right, like a wall to the right, just to practice outs. But I wasn't even comfortable with like knowing what like triple 14, triple 11 was on the spot. So he had this old drum head, this old like coated drum head that is just a circular, like the part on the drum where you hit, right? And
Yep.
he drew like with marker and drew the numbers, like made it look like a dartboard, and hung that up under the dartboard with the values of all the triples and the doubles and everything. And I remember just like as I'm throwing, just quickly cross-referencing that to learn what numbers were. And I just remember that really helped me with my like learning my times tables and everything in school, and it really helped my just overall math in school.
Yeah, I think he knows the dartboard better than I do. He will watch darts, like PDC's on today. The German Darts
Yeah,
Masters is
yeah.
on, and we'll sit down and watch, and he'll call it quicker than whoever's calling. He'll be like, "Oh, he's got this much left," or "This is what he." I'm like, "How do you do this at 6 years old?"
That's
It's
awesome.
he's
Wow.
he's a fiend. A quick story about him. 2 things, but we play on a grand board, and I got the 3, and so I had the 2. I put it up in his room. He spent a weekend literally with a tablet, and he was pressing all the segments, learning what the segments were. So I'm hoping he's my ride to the PDC because I'm not good enough. So I'm hoping for that. But I do have to give him a huge shout out. He hit his first natural 180 a couple days ago. So I got to give him a huge props and shout out for that. He's been trying to get the 180 for quite a while, and he finally got one. So
That's awesome. Does he stand like at like standard length, or does he like stand up a little closer?
I have a soft hockey, so I have a carpet and then a soft hockey. So he'll sometimes stand right in front of it, or he'll stand at the hockey length. So he goes back and forth, but he hit this. I think he was hockey length when he hit this one.
Dang, and he's
So
6. That's pretty awesome.
yeah, it's fun to watch. It's fun to watch. He's better than me. I think he really is at 6 years old.
So
So
I just my son, he's like 16 months now, and I just got. I mean, I monitor this very carefully, obviously, but I would give him soft tips because he's walking around now, and where my board is set up in my house, not a really big house, so there's a little board on the floor because he's always watching me play, and it's like one of his first words was darts,
yeah.
and so I let him hold the steel tip just briefly, and now I give him the soft tips, and he wants like nothing to do with them. He like doesn't want to, but I'll let him hold the steel tip, and he's like all about it, and finally got him, like he'll like mimic my stroke like without having a dart in his hand. He'll just like do the motion of a follow through, and he
Yeah.
like actually can throw it now. It's all over the place, and I have to be really careful when I do. I like have to hold the dart in his hand kind of, but he's it's just funny seeing a baby like actually kind of throw a steel tip dart in a sense.
Yeah, well, that's what Dad's doing, so that's what he wants to do. So that's cool. Speaking of your throw, you're fairly quick on the release. I equate you to kind of like Rapid Ricky. You're quick on your throws. Is that something you work on? Is that just kind of, is it natural? Where's that come from?
So that's probably like the most natural way I learned to throw. I didn't used to throw that way. So when I was probably 18 or 19, I was kind of at the top of the youth stuff at that point. And I don't know what happened. I think I like got way too in my head. I used to throw way slower, and I think I just felt a lot of pressure, like from my dad, and not necessarily from him, but just people, because he was at like the top of his game. So it was
Yeah.
like a lot of pressure being his kid, and I was just kind of felt like I'm not allowed to suck, pretty much. You know, I can't quit. I can't not be good. And I think it got to me. And I remember I was in Stanford for the ADO nationals or whatever, and I just like developed like a really bad like hitch type thing. Like I couldn't get my arm up. It was like the most mind-boggling thing. I know that's a thing people suffer with, but it was like it was really weird. I remember I'm sure Miles Gallagher, was a youth that was playing at the time. He could attest to it because I played him and he clearly saw me suffering with that, and I literally couldn't get my arm up and throw the dart. It was so frustrating. It was a really dark time, and the only way I could get through that, and I tell other people that I see that suffer with this, was literally it just started with me just flinging my arm up and throwing the dart. Like no, I used to have like a little pump fake thing. Like I'd get my arm up and do like a little pump fake and then throw like it's like a set. And I
Yeah.
think that set is what like caused, like if that set wasn't perfect, then I couldn't throw it, and then it got worse, and then I couldn't even get to the set, and then I just completely cut that any extra motion out of my game and just literally just put my arm up and flung it. And at first it wasn't very good, but that like quick natural reaction, like pure instinct pretty much, is it started working for me. So I just started getting real rhythmic with that and just it, being just as instinctual as I could. And I don't know, it's like if you try, try throwing piece of trash in a trash can and don't think about it, just kind of fling it, just like you're like reacting, you'd be surprised of how accurate like you can be in those situations. It's kind of hard to explain, but that's how that happened. That's the only way, is just to not think about it, no pressure really, just be rhythm and just instinct. And I just kind of practiced a lot on that, and that's how my tempo came to be. Really, was just trying to get through that part of my life where I was kind of going through a little bit of dartitis there.
Nice. Yeah, I think people, we look at pros and you look at people like Peter Wright and stuff, and he'll take time to throw. And of course, it works for him. He's got a world championship. But I think with a lot of darts players, especially when you're first getting into darts, let your mind and eye do what they were designed to do. They direct your body a lot, and just allowing those things and just having a nice release, and in some cases it's a quick release because that's your body's natural reaction. I think we think too much at first about it. And then once you get to a specific level, you can start tweaking those things. But I think just allowing your body to be natural about something is going to help you go a lot further at first, for sure.
Well, yeah, I mean, if I mean, it's the safest thing, because when your mind gets too into it, that's damaging sometimes. That's why tournaments can be such a nerve-wracking thing for people, because it's like too much thinking involved. You're questioning more things, and it's nice to go to a tournament and just know that you're just going to do what you do, no thinking, just be natural, and take a lot of pressure that doesn't need to be there off.
Yeah. So just real quick, because some of the listeners and some of the people out there may not exactly know who you are or who your dad is. Can you give us just a brief synopsis of your dad? I know that he recently retired from the PDC, but what was his career like? Give us some highlights and maybe touch on what it was kind of like having a dad that was a professional darts player.
Well, yeah, he started playing darts like early '90s, somewhere around when I was born, and he's also a drum instructor, um, and I just he was U.S. #1, I think, in the late '90s for like '98 and '99. Went to a bunch of tournaments, won a bunch of events. He would put his first place trophies in like the living room, and it was like this whole mantle, just hella trophies all over the place. And I remember just growing up and seeing those and thinking that was like the most just awesome thing, and I wanted one of those so bad. And so that's kind of how I got into that. And he was always just a great player. He won a bunch of big events. Went to the PDC, was on the U.S. team a bunch of times. Went to the World Championships when it was at the not at the Alley Pally, at the.
I'm blanking on it too.
Yeah, I forgot the other place. But anyway, so I don't know. It was always like I was never not going to play darts. There was never any like he never like pushed me to do it. Like he never really like made me do it anyway. It was just me. In fact, like he didn't even actually take me seriously doing it until I was like 11 or 12, and he saw me putting in hours. So I mean, I don't know. It was a really natural thing. I never remember thinking I'm not going to play darts. But like I said, when I was really taking it seriously as a later teenager, that's where I started feeling probably a lot of unneeded pressure. I felt that in the drum world too, because I kind of followed down that path as well. And he's a fantastic drummer as well. So I don't know. The only way I think the biggest thing I got from it was work ethic. And I practiced a lot when I was young. I didn't really when I was in high school, I didn't spend a lot of time with friends or being social. A lot of it was just me by myself and just hitting the practice room. That's just one thing he really instilled in me was practice, which I enjoyed.
Yeah. It's interesting that, a lot of professionals that I talk to outside of darts and then those that are in darts, that work ethic being a key, factor, and picking that up from somewhere, whether it's from their father or, a friend, or maybe it's, a competitive person that they've seen in their work ethic. A lot of people talk about Phil Taylor as being, they looked at what he was doing and he practiced, even though as good as he was, he continuously practiced. So Anthony Eugenia says, "Hey, Danny." So I don't know if you can see that right there, but he's got a shout out to you. Speaking of Anthony and so forth, let's talk a little bit about I can't say CDC these days because, in the news, that's a bad term, but let's talk a little bit about the Champion Darts circuit. Now you have fared well in the Championship Darts circuit. Haven't seen you playing much currently, but that could be because of what's in the horizon for you as far as going to the Alley Pally and having an opportunity to represent yourself. And of course, you've got the country on your back. I'll put it that way. The Darts USA community is going to be rooting for you in a big way. But what's it been, you getting your tour card with the Championship Darts circuit and playing in that, and then of course winning. How has that been, and how's that helped grow your game?
Oh, it completely transformed my game. My dad and I always went to tournaments, but we always went to big tournaments. When the PDC had stops here, we'd go to those. We always went to the bigger tournaments, and so I didn't do a lot of the small soft tip tournaments or anything. He's always been wants to play the best, wants to play against the best, and really push ourselves. So we always went to bigger things. So when the CDC happened, that's our dream. Top players coming and the closest thing to the PDC that there is. So playing against all those players, that really just grew my game big time. And especially when I had some success, it grew my confidence, made me want to practice more. So I mean, that the CDC really took my game to the next level. And I, would encourage anyone to, if you have any doubts, definitely just go out there and play against some of those players, even if you lose. That's I lost to my dad for 3 years before I started playing better. Eventually, you start playing better. That's just how it works. But no, it's great what those guys are doing. Really thankful.
Yeah, you need a few losses to get that fire burning.
Yeah, you got it.
For that desire. So speaking of tournaments, you are the current reigning Indiana state champion for the past 3 years. How is that? I mean, you're from Indiana, and I'll tell you, my dad and his family are from Brownsburg, Indiana. So, southern Indiana, pig farmers, corn farmers. And my dad grew up probably about 4 blocks from the Indianapolis 500 racetrack. That's where, a young man, he was slinging sodas and ice, at the racetrack back when you could do those types of things. So, I've had the opportunity to go back and see the house that he grew up in. He actually bought it years ago just to, he was like, an opportunity to buy it, and he bought it. And my aunt lived there for many years, but you could literally see the back of the track from that house.
It probably got really loud.
Yeah. So my family's from the Indiana area. So you're state champion. How's that feel to be able to say, hey, I'm state champion? What's that tournament like?
Well, Indianapolis especially has a lot of top soft tip players. There's a lot of great players. I wish they came out to other tournaments a little more, but there's a lot of talent there. It's not an easy field at all. In fact, if it wasn't this last year that I won, I lost my first match. Had to come back to the losers bracket. It's a great achievement, winning last 3 years. And I don't play much soft tip. Like that was like I play one league a year to qualify for that tournament, and that's the only other soft tip tournament I play. I'd like to do more. I always wanted to go and do some of the darts live things in Asia. I still plan on hopefully doing some of those, but no, I'm really fortunate to win the last 3 years.
Yeah. Well, it takes some skill, and there's a change. There's a jump between steel tip and soft tip, and I know a lot of steel tippers that are like, no, I don't do the soft tip. I don't go there. But it sounds like you've kind of balanced back and forth, at least to some degree.
Yeah.
Which do you prefer, steel tip or soft tip?
Oh man, you shouldn't even have to ask me that question. Yeah,
it's kind of a dumb question.
I just, steel tip's where it's at for me. I grew up doing that. To me, is the most natural form of the game, and the goals I have set, having a PDC card and actually doing this to the highest level, that's steel tip for me. But also, like I said, I think there's a lot of opportunity doing the darts live in Asia, and it hasn't worked out for me to go yet. But hopefully now with current management, and hopefully those events start happening, I can actually be over there and do some of that stuff.
Yeah, you could kind of do the Leonard Gates thing, kind of go between the two, back and forth. Do you see that, with soft tip being such a bigger sport over in Asia, and of course here in America than say Europe, do you see scoring being an issue with North American players, primarily American players that are playing soft tip when it comes to steel tip?
No, I think if anything, like, you mean scoring, like just in general, like power scoring. I think outs are the most confusing thing from switching from soft tip to steel tip. Is outs are way different depending if you're playing like master outs. I mean, obviously double in, double out, split bowl is just steel tip, and I know a lot of my soft tip buddies kind of struggle with that because they've never had to really fully learn certain outs that you would need to know to play steel tip. But then it works the other way too, where I'll screw myself when I can win hitting a bull or hitting a triple. I make it harder than it needs to be by trying to hit a steel tip out when it's like, I could just hit a triple 14 and a bull or something. And so I've lost plenty of likes not knowing how to take an easier out. But as far as scoring, for me, I have an easier time scoring on soft tip. My darts are pretty much the same, soft and steel. There's just like a couple grams difference, so it's just a bigger triple now for me. When I practice steel tip, I practice kind of standing further back behind the line, just because I like the feeling of going to a tournament and it feels closer than it does at practice. So it's easier for me. So standing back a little more in soft tip doesn't really throw me off. So it really is, But then I feel like a lot of the top steel players are like that. In soft tip, it's like everybody's hitting monstrous shots all the time, and if you're not doing that, you're going to get left in the dust. It's really unforgiving, actually, mathematically speaking.
Yeah. I remember watching Phil Taylor. After he retired, he went over and played some of the darts live. There was like a Masters tournament thing that he did. He was crushing it just because it's like the segments got bigger for him. He would throw 180s where other guys were just throwing at the bull, trying to get the triple 50, and he would just throw in a 180 like it was nothing.
Yeah.
It was kind of fun to watch quite a bit of that. So that was, there's definitely a transition piece there. I have noticed that guys that play a lot of soft tip, that when they go to steel tip, that they really struggle with the math aspect of how to play the game.
I think that's a big deterrent. That's why a lot of people don't play steel is the math. You got to do math. You got to kind of know your outs, and that for the people that just want to, play league or have a good time, I could see why that's not very inviting. If you're not playing for the love of the game.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it can be a struggle. So you practice kind of regularly. What's your practice sessions like? I've heard guys that string it out during the day. They'll practice for a half hour, come back to it later. And then I've heard of people that are like, no, I power it and I'll practice for 3 hours every single day. What's your routine like?
Yeah, I don't split it up very much. Once I get to the board, I usually stay at the board. Obviously, it's been a little harder lately with the baby and all, but I usually, I'll do 3-4 hours, and I just start out as far as like practice routines. I just pound 20s and stuff, and then I'll just hit doubles, and then I just play. I play a lot of 121 with myself. I play against the Dark Connect bot a lot, and lately I've been practicing with other players like Chris White and Matt Campbell and some of those guys, just playing some pickup games. But
Nice.
That's pretty much it. A lot of 121, playing 501 against the computer.
Very nice. Let's talk real quick about sponsorship. I know you're headed off. You've worked at getting your tour card. You came really close last year to getting your tour card. I know that's the goal is to get to the PDC and give that a go and see what that's like. And you have the opportunity, of course, to go to the Alley Pally this year, again, representing, yourself. And I say USA because I know a lot of people that are excited to see you go play. And, we're backing you. It's not so much that you're wearing us on your shoulders. We're hoping to lift you up more. But let's talk a little bit about sponsorship. I know that you recently, signed a sponsorship deal with, why am I blanking on the name? It's the 8 flights. There we go.
8 flight.
Yeah. So how's that working out? Is there other sponsorship that's available to you, or are you looking for other sponsorship? How's like a barrel sponsor? What's that like?
Well, I have never really pushed for like the whole equipment sponsorship. Like I kind of think that's a little damaging to people looking for real sponsorship. But I went with A-Flight. They their equipment's just really good. I was using L-Style before that, but and of course, like I'm sure a lot of people are always kind of skeptical of the whole screw-on flight thing, but man, those flights are durable. They last forever, and I have as far as the weight and the like being too heavy or anything, they're just like very similar to the L-Style. So I really just like their product a lot, and they're supportive, and I'm kind of saving myself, hoping to get like a real Target sponsorship is kind of what I was hoping for, and still hoping for. My management, Beth Lexus, promotions and management, she's been helping me a lot as well, getting the tournaments and kind of trying to organize sponsorship deals.
Yeah,
kind of hard right now though, with everything going on.
It's been a little quiet out there, I would assume, with some stuff. And I like that flight system. Dylan has played it. He goes back and forth between a couple different flight systems. I'm hoping they'll come out with a carbon shaft. Personally, I'm hoping, that's my throw out there. Hey, 8 flight Target, we need a carbon shaft because I prefer a carbon type shaft. And I think there are some, if you went with a kind of metal, that'd be awesome. I think there's some players out there that would gravitate over, but it's a new up and coming product. So we'll see where it goes. I want to talk a little bit more about the sponsorship because, there are people listening. Maybe someone out here could help out because I know that that's a little bit of a struggle right now. I know Beth and I talked a little bit about it. I just want to say, SHOT is always looking for really good players. So, they've got some nice barrels. Just want to throw that out there. But anybody that's listening out there, you guys, I know that Danny's, there's a look for that. So if you know someone that could help out in a sponsorship realm, and it doesn't have to be just darts, I want to see the first shoe deal with a professional darts player. Danny, I want Nike to come alongside and create the darts player shoe. So that's my goal.
That would be just awesome, and actually makes a difference too. Like, what is it? Simon Whitlock, I think. I think I heard that there's only one type of shoe that he'll use, and he like has, a bunch of pairs of the same shoe because at tournaments you're there all day. It really does take a I remember early in the CDC I just had like these black dress shoes. They were just like these, I don't know, yeah, just like black dress shoes with like a heel on them, and they sucked. Like my feet would be really in a lot of pain at the end of that event, and I feel like I'm not stable at the line almost with those things, and I just thought I never thought about how important shoes are, but now I definitely take it more seriously. So it would be nice if Nike made like a flat shoe that's comfortable and I don't know helps you stand without moving easier somehow, special sole or something. I don't know. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Though.
Yeah, I keep pushing for that. So every time I talk to someone, I'm like, we need the shoe deal. We need that to happen. We need a little bit more money thrown at the sport from the sponsorship side. I think that'll help out quite a bit. Speaking of shoes, James Wade and his nice brown loafers. He's definitely known for his dress and his shoe. You got an opportunity to play him in the 2018 North American final. Well, it wasn't the finals, but it was first round in Vegas in 2018. And you put him against the wall. He almost went out for the second time in 3 years. First round. What was that like to be going up against James Wade and have him on the ropes?
Well, I'm still pretty pissed about that. I know it was awesome. I really loved every minute that I was up there. It was exhilarating, and I felt comfortable. I felt really comfortable. I just that freaking double six, man. I just missed doubles, and at the wrong time. That's how you lose. But yeah, I thought I had him too. I was full on ready to take him down, and just missed some key outs, and he hit his. So what are you gonna do?
Yeah, it's darts. It's a learning lesson for sure. What was Wade? Because I'm a Wadey fan. I'm a closet Wade fan. What's he like? I root for him when he's in a tournament and he starts getting deep. I'm like, okay, come on, this is going to be because he's the average player. He's not a 110, 105, that 100 average type guy. He's that guy that comes in with the high 80s, low 90s, and still wins tournaments. What's he like in the back room? Did you get much interaction with the guys over in Vegas?
Well, I actually grew up being a big fan of his too, being a lefty and all. But yeah, I mean, we were all back there warming up together. I got to talk to some guys. I didn't get to talk to him very much. He was, he kind of had his own. I don't know if it's his management or what, but he was kind of had his little group of guys that he was walking around with. But I think I threw a little bit beside him. He didn't talk very much, so I didn't want to bother him. I wasn't like back there trying to get autographs or anything. I was kind of back there trying to beat these guys, and
yeah,
I started some conversations, but I'm not the most like social person, so if anyone wanted to talk to me, I was all about it, but I just kind of mind my own business and was trying to get my head right.
Yeah,
but he was fine.
Yeah, well, that's cool. Like I've always wondered about him a little bit more. He seems quiet when he's playing. So.
Yeah, he definitely is.
Yeah. What are you looking forward to with this upcoming year with going over to the Alley Pally? I mean, is there some excitement behind that? Are you getting geared up for that? Because that's coming really quickly.
Yeah, no, I'm so excited. I mean, I'm over the moon about it. And I don't know, it's kind of surreal almost, just given the year that it's been. It really sucks that I haven't been able to have my normal go into tournaments and really, grinding against other players throughout the year leading up to it. And I really don't like the at home play. It's just I know for a lot of people it's been really awesome and people love it, but I hate it. And partially just because my house isn't built for that. I can't just like hide out in a room with the dartboard. It's like it's like a 1,300 square foot house, and my dart room is in like the playroom pretty much, and it's just craziness all the time with the baby and stuff. So I just wish that I was able. Luckily, I think next weekend the CDC's having an event in Indianapolis that I'll be able to actually go and play. That's what I need right now. But I've definitely been practicing every day, trying to put the work in.
Yeah. So I was going to ask you about the virtual situation, because you really haven't. The CDC's been doing the virtual kind of tournaments, and I haven't seen you involved in that. And it sounds like there's a reason for it, just dealing with having a young family.
Well,
And
the
chaos.
I've done the CDC ones. I did one of the CDC leagues, the first one they have.
Okay.
And the last two CDC tournaments, I've done those too. I had lost, I think, early on though, so that's probably why you didn't see me. But I haven't done as much as I could be doing. Should probably do more. I don't know. There's something about it, and I don't feel it. I don't get excited. I don't feel that adrenaline that I would normally be feeling. I don't know. I probably should do more, just to at least get the time to play against other people.
Well, it's an interesting perspective on it, because I've been talking about it, with others that have been on the show in regards to, like, Tanner Picard was on. And speaking of Captain Picard, he says hi. But we talked a little bit about the virtual game, and he seems to have really gravitated towards liking the virtual game. Do you see a split in a way where you're going to have players that just want to do virtual, and players like yourself that are like, no, I need people around me. I want to be at the Aki with others there. I want scorers there. Do you see a fracture that could happen here?
Yeah. I have some friends that feel really strongly, like you're saying, about the virtual thing. It could be good, like you were saying earlier about soft tippers not wanting to do the steel tip thing. Doing the virtual thing is more of like almost feels like an online gameplay or something. It's kind of a fun thing. So that might actually get more people playing darts, and then they might that might be like the first step, and then they do enough of that, then they start going to actual tournaments. So I think there might be some kind of a split there. It could be a good thing. Hopefully it is a good thing.
Yeah, that's kind of how I see it. I look at it as there's pros and cons to anything that you do. I see the pro side, players that, typically don't get out and play because there is that fear level.
Well, it's expensive too.
Yeah.
You got to pay money. At least if you're at home, you'll pick up those steel tip darts because you don't have to spend $1,000 on a hotel and travel and stuff. So I think the players that are going to big tournaments are still going to go to big tournaments, but the virtual thing might really get some players that are on the fence about doing steel tip to do steel tip. So in the long run, it could be an awesome thing for the game.
That's how I see it. I think it's gonna there's gonna be better. I think you actually see stars that rise up, and they're going to be from the virtual realm, and you're gonna have virtual stars. It's gonna be.
I believe.
I don't know. It's kind.
I've gotten just like crushed by some people I've never heard of that I don't see at tournaments and never heard of, and they throw a 95 average on me. It's just like, so I really think it is kind of it does build up some confidence and really help lets people play their best game in the comfort of their home. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think you're gonna see tournaments rise up, and you're gonna see this. It's almost like video games becoming professional, but you're gonna have this online professional league of darts players.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be kind of cool. So the virtual thing hasn't been a huge plus for you, and part of that is just like I deal with my kids. The only time I can really play a match, and I play in a league. And luckily, people have been very good about this, is like playing it like 9 o'clock at night. when the kids are asleep and in bed, that's when I can get my play in. Which you're on the East Coast, so I'm kind of trying to push you into that because I think there's some value with you, heading over and looking at tour card and all that in regards to playing, and getting that competitiveness in, playing guys like Danny Baggish and the likes, just to kind of push that game. So I guess I'm kind of nudging you, like you could play late at night, I guess. So,
I like the practice. Like I do like doing the practice sessions. Like Matt Campbell's also got young kids, and he can't play until later in the evening. So he's been kind of convenient to play because we're sort of on the same schedule. So yeah, I'll message some of those guys, Leonard or whoever's playing, and we'll have a practice session. That part I do like a lot about being able to play people I would normally not get to play it on a regular basis. And
yeah,
no, I mean I agree. I need to do more of these like actual tournaments. So I'm definitely planning on doing more of them. Knowing when they're happening is one thing. Another thing, if I knew in advance, it'd be easier.
It's interesting what's come about in the last 4 months, 5 months, with the virtual stuff. There are guys like the Bearded Dart guy.
Yeah, Jason Watt.
Yeah, he's got his stuff going on, and of course we had Quarantine Darts, which Will's now doing stuff with the Championship Dart circuit, and that Quarantine Darts has kind of gone away for now, at least. So there are places out there. So it's an exciting time, I think, in general. Anthony mentioned that you have a chance to qualify for the World Cup and represent the USA, depending on how your play goes next weekend. Is that something you've thought about, that, next weekend, if you do well, you could be one of the two representing the USA?
Yeah, that's like the main reason I'm going. I mean, it's a good payday, as usual with the CDC. But no, that's the main focus right now is getting that World Cup spot. Really, really going to try hard for that.
Nice. Well, I hope you get it because, again, I'm a huge fan. I've enjoyed watching you when I've been able to watch you live. I'm on the West Coast, so, it's when you guys are out here playing and I'm able to go to a tournament. I've always enjoyed, I like your rhythm, and you're a lefty. I'm a righty, but, I always like watching the lefties. There's just something different. Is it different at the Aki? Do you feel like maybe you see something that right-handed players don't see because you are looking slightly different? Is there a difference for you?
Not really. I don't know. I probably dislike double 16 more than most people because I'm lefty. That angle just doesn't, like, I like crossing to like double 10. So I mean, I set up that shot as much as possible. The double 8, double 16 side of the board, it just doesn't, I don't know. It doesn't favor me very well for some reason. I don't know if that has anything to do with me being lefty or not, but it could. Other than that, though, not really.
So no visual type of advantage or anything, because I've always wondered, because you're looking at the room slightly different than a right-handed player, just based on how cameras are set up and so forth. So no real advantage there.
I don't think so. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I thought, with the chalker stands, but that, yeah, I don't think it really matters. At least not to me.
Yeah. So, is the opportunity this year, I mean, with going over the, crossing the pond and getting over for the World Championships, are you looking at doing tour card again this year?
For like PDC?
Yeah, for 2021. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh. So that's on the thing. I know that you were close last year. I actually watch some of that, what's available online and at least keep up with what's going on because there's so many matches. It's more or less just watching the ticker, and was excited to see you kind of progress through and hoping that, I'd like to see some more North Americans getting a tour card. Of course, Jeff Smith, got his and is doing well. and actually into the second round of the German Masters for this weekend, and has done well.
Yeah.
What's it like when you have the opportunity to play some of, the other guys in the North American stuff, like, when Dawson Michelle was playing, Jeff Smith, these guys that have gone over and played, had the tour card. What's the stories? What's it like in the back room? Do you guys talk about this stuff? Is there communication? What's the friendship stuff in the back room? The things that we don't ever get to see.
You mean in regards to like the players, like Jeff Smith
Yeah.
and Dawson? Well,
Yeah.
a lot of it's, wondering where do you stay? Are you going next year? Travel plans. We all have the same goal, so it's kind of trying to help each other out. I think, the players that do go over there and are trying to make it work kind of all stick together, try to help each other out, confidence-wise and travel-wise.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Who has been one of your favorite players to compete against and to play?
Well, let's see. I really like playing. I like playing Leonard a lot because he's I don't know, the way he plays. I like any player that I can get into rhythm with. That's fun for me. Like, I hate playing Darren just because he's methodical and it's just not my tempo. I know that I probably throw him off a bit too, but players like him or DJ Sayer that are just really methodical and just really good, those are the tough matches for me because, anyone I can get a rhythm with is that's like my favorite thing. So players like Leonard, Chris White, guys like that are just really fun to play. And in England anyway, some of those guys, it's a lot of the same. Darts over there is just a whole different thing, and I think most people are rhythm based over there as well. So playing almost anybody over there is really awesome.
Well, who would you, looking at the current PDC lineup, who's someone you would really like to go up against?
I'd like to get another crack at James Wade for sure. That would be cool. I would like to do it right this time. It'd be a pleasure to play any of them. I think playing Gerwin would be really awesome because, that's another one of those rhythm guys, and I think that we'd get in a really fun rhythm. He'd probably crush me. I don't know, but it'd be fun anyway.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy. He's one of the guys. There's like a couple of guys I'd love to see just compete against each other just because they're outspoken, and he's on that list. I do have to ask this question.
Would be cool.
Ricky, you and Ricky, that would be a blast to see. That would be the 3-minute match. Best of 21 over in 3 minutes. Yeah, he's pretty interesting to watch, especially when he hits like a 180 or it's just fun to. I love his facial expressions. He's a pretty cool guy.
Yeah.
So I think you, Ricky and Michael Smith, you guys could compete together and be done in a matter of no time at all. So
yeah, Michael Smith, that's another one. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I could see you guys playing. I think that'd be a fun match to watch. It'd be quick, but it'd be a fun match to watch for sure. Yeah, I've talked about doing this, and I think like this would be something cool to do. I'm just curious your opinion of doing a Masters tournament, or like 5 tournaments that where we bring back some of these guys that have played and kind of stepped away, like your dad, like Phil Taylor. Some of these, I would love to see Bobby George. I want to see Bobby George and Gerwin Price go at it. I think that would be phenomenal. But bring it back, some of this older blood to play. And I know your dad recently retired, but still, he played the game when it was still, hey, let's have a drink, let's have a smoke. We're in the bar type atmosphere when the game was still growing.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. He still. My dad's still playing. Him and I have a practice usually every Monday, and he's just a crazy story to me because he's still good. He still plays really well, and he's still planning on going to CDC tournaments, but when he was at the top of his game, going to England for the World Championships and stuff, like in the early 2000s, he had like 3 retinal surgeries in like a matter of like 5 years.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
so he pretty much lost like most of the vision in his like dominant eye, his right eye. And even now it's like he's got like 2 different eyeballs. It's like he sees different things, and it's like depth perception is all messed up, and there's like lines in his vision. So to be at the top of your game and then to lose like your vision and pretty much have to play by braille and still play that, I mean, that's crazy to me. I know, like, is it Jamie Caven or yeah, Jamie Caven is like blind out of one eye.
Yep.
But even him, like, he grew up that way, But to be in the top of your game, been playing for 15 years, and then just lose your vision, that's crazy to me. So that's part of his retirement, I think. But he's still playing. He's not doing PDC stuff or Q school, but as far as what you were saying earlier, I think that would be really fun. Some of these older guys coming back, even like the PDC guys, like you're saying, like Colin Lloyd, some of those guys.
Yeah.
I used to see some of them, like Colin Lloyd and who else at the Q school in England, like when I first went 3 years ago. But like I'm not seeing them very much anymore. It's just a bunch of like people my age, a little older, trying to get their tour card. But it'd definitely be fun to catch up with some of the older players, see what they think about how darts is now.
Yeah, I think it'd be kind of fun just to have like a little tour that goes around and hits up, a couple of different countries, and these guys get to go play. They'll make a little money, but I just think the youth of the sport having an opportunity to see the guys that really put darts on the map in regards to the television type aspect of it. Some of the money, of course, it was a bar sport for so long. It was still, you would play for honor in retrospect. And nowadays, there's some cash that goes along with that. I just think it'd be really interesting to see some of the, it's the one sport where guys that are in their 60s and 70s can still compete. Football players, not going to happen in your 60s and 70s. You're going to break. But, darts allows that. I had a question that I was curious about, because this has become a thing this year, is the women in darts, the ladies playing darts, and being able to compete with the men. You've been playing for a couple of years, and this is now becoming a piece of the action as far as, women playing the guys, which in my opinion, darts is the equalizer in sports. There's nobody that can't compete. Like my son's standing at 6 at the hockey level and hitting 180. So it's possible for anybody. What's your thoughts on the ladies play, joining the PDC and that kind of working out?
Oh, it's awesome. I mean, it's like what Fallon's doing. This last Q school, I'm totally blanking on her name, but a lady, she got her tour card in that room of people trying to get their tour card. She got it outright, and it's awesome. I remember growing up with Stacy Baumberg a bunch, or spending a lot of time with her. She took me to England when I went for the first time for the Masters, and she was competing with all the guys and taking names, and I like you said, anyone can do it. So to see more women stepping up and actually doing it is awesome. It's amazing.
Yeah, and it was Lisa Ashton.
That's right. Lisa,
got our tour card. She's only won the world titles 3 times. I mean, she scares me. She's scared. She's the one female darts player that I think has more attitude than most guys.
Yeah, she's definitely confident.
Yeah, I love really watching her play.
Really nice though.
That's what I've heard. I've heard she's like the sweetest person.
Yeah.
But when she gets to the hockey, it's like she doesn't care who you are. Her job is to win, and she's going to do that.
Yeah.
So, and I like Sharon Butler had to chime in here when we were talking about some of the old guys. She says she knows a pretty darn good 60+ darter. I wonder who she's talking about there.
Well, he's still going strong and taking names too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's definitely, a great great players. There's just so many great players that are there, and that's the beauty of the sport. And at the same time, youth is stepping in. You've got people like Aspinall. You've got Dancing Dimitri. You've got people like yourself. You've got this youth movement that is coming along we're going to see a kind of that switch over. Darts has been around long enough that older generation, I don't want to say it's time for them to kind of step aside, but it's like there's going to be a changing of the guard. It happens in sports, and you get to be a part of that. What are you seeing with this youth movement? It seems like there's this power game coming on. Is that kind of what you're seeing and what you're playing against?
Yeah, definitely. And I went over for several development tours and youth events in England, and like Dimitri was there, Ricky Evans, Michael Smith, even Max Hopp, all those guys that are kind of really starting to hit their stride were at these youth events, and I really think it's just going to be another level. I think everyone's just leveling up on this and playing better, and it's going to be even harder and harder to be successful. So I think it's, as far as like the younger people, it's whoever's putting in the right amount of work and practice, because they definitely are, and it's showing. But yeah, it definitely seems like I like in Q school, everyone. I mean, I was one of the middle-aged, older kids that was at Q school, which is pretty crazy. So it's definitely starting to be younger, getting younger.
A younger power game.
Yeah.
So I had a great question in my mind and I lost it. Oh, I'm sorry. This is one that I get asked quite a bit. And I tend not to ask this one, so I need to make sure I do. For the youth coming up, what's your recommendation for those younger players, those guys that are 14, 15, 16, in there as they're coming into the sport? What would you recommend? What are like pitfalls and maybe bonuses that they should be looking at?
Well, one thing that, I mean, like I said earlier, like at that age, there was a lot of temptation, like through high school and, social situations to do those things and spend your whole summer in life with friends and do all that. And I didn't do that. And I think because of that, it helped me take the game more seriously and just practice more. So I think just to be careful with distractions like that, because I've seen other youth players that are really talented and good, and then just kind of don't really hit that level they need to hit just because of distractions, and just choosing to go hang out on the weekend instead of practicing for 6 hours or something. That's a big one. So I think taking it seriously and really just practice, just hit the board, take it seriously, and that's a simple answer, but that's, I think, a crucial thing.
So it's commitment. It's being committed to the sport. And that's, I think that's truth for any athlete that's trying to get somewhere with the sport that they're playing. If you're not committed to what you're doing, you're going to fail to somebody, because someone's always practicing harder than you.
Exactly. Yep.
It's the thing. I look and everybody brings up Phil Taylor, but the truth of the matter is that he's the truth of the 10,000 hours. He's the guy that would put in the time and the effort way beyond what everybody else was doing, but he's got 16 world championships.
Yes, exactly. When I first heard that rule, I would encourage any teenager to read this book, but it's a book called Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell.
Yeah. Yeah.
I read that book when I was, I think, 15. My dad's a big Malcolm Gladwell fan, and so I read all his books, but I read that book, and that book that book really lit a fire under my ass for sure. When I read that 10,000 hour rule, I started calculating, like, okay, if I practice this many hours for this amount of time, in about 18 years, I'll have 10,000 hours. And I did that for drums as well, like, practicing drums, but for darts also. It got me going. So I definitely live by that. And that really got me to take it really seriously.
When you think about how long 10,000 hours really is,
It's a lot.
yeah,
It's
it's
a lot.
years.
Yeah,
It's
it is.
years. Yeah. So, yeah, there's a book. I'm trying to remember. I got to look back here on my shelf. I'm going to send you a copy of it. It's called Winning in Mind. I can't remember the author. He was a U.S. Olympic shooter, as well as a national ranked shooter, won a couple world titles shooting guns. But he basically took that methodology, the 10,000 hours, and takes it to another level. And he talks about how those hours, part of those are mental hours, and he would spend hours every night in a room. He had a room in his house that had a gun set up where he could lay down, because they would do things prone. But he would lay there in the dark, just holding the rifle and picturing shooting, and I've always thought, as a darts player, that mentality of having the mental game, standing there and closing your eyes and just thinking of the throw. How would that work? Would that be something that was doable to be a practice routine? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I think that visualization's like a huge part of it. You see yourself doing something enough times, the same way that some sociopath can say a lie so much that they believe it and they like become that. It works the other way as well. Um, Another book I read, they made a movie about it, I think, with Will Smith. It's like The Legend of Bagger Vance or something.
Yep.
It's got like
Yep.
Matt Damon in it or something. They kind of reference that a lot, where he's just like literally seeing the line, the trajectory of the golf ball, where it's going to go when he hits it, and he like visualizes this, and that's like how he prevails in that story. And that that's something that I read that book when I was young too, and that also I'm a big believer in like meditation, and stuff. So I think that mental side of things is a big thing with this game. So I'm in full agreement that matters.
Well, Lanny Basham. Thank you, Bob Hamilton. He knows the book I'm referring to. It was by Lanny Basham. I've got a couple extra copies. I will send you one.
Okay.
It's an interesting story where he gets it from. Speaking of Bagger Vance, I'll tell this quick story, and then I want to let you go, because I know you've got kids and you're on the East Coast time, so it's getting later. But where this whole concept comes from that Lanny Basham talks about is there was a gentleman in I think it was World War II that had been captured and was in a Japanese internment camp, and the whole time he was there, he was stuck in a little cage, and the entire time he was playing to keep himself sane. He played golf in his head. Just played golf, and he played round after round, but he played perfect golf every single time. He got released. He was, he got out of camp and he got back to the U.S. And as they were driving from the airport to the base that he was going to go to, they came across a golf course, and he made them stop. He made them rent him some golf clubs. And this guy weighed nothing, like 80 pounds. And he played a scratch game of golf, and he had not swung a club in over 3 years. But it was all based because he had been playing mentally for years in his head.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, that's where this whole thought process comes from. And Lanny talks about it in his book, that this is where this concept of mental preparation comes from. But hey, Danny, I want to just thank you so much for being on the show. I don't want to take up any more of your time. I know you got the youngins and life to get to. It's Saturday, and I'm sure some practice to do. It's been a huge pleasure to have you on. There's a ton of other questions I could ask you and just talk about darts in general, but I do need to let you get on with life. So
thanks for having me, man. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, no, it's been great. And guys that are out there, if you know anybody that's maybe works for an Oakley or some company out there that's looking to stretch and look at maybe darts as a sponsorship. I know that Danny's looking for some of that stuff. Any of the darts manufacturers out there that happen to catch the show, hey, he still doesn't have his name on a barrel. So let's just see if we can make that one happen. But congratulations on the 8 flight sponsorship. Hopefully that all goes well. And more importantly, congratulations on getting to the Alley Pally. We will all be rooting for you here in the next month or so as you get out there.
All right. Thank you.
And good luck. Thank you. And good luck next week. We will be keeping in touch with what's going on with the CDC. So, hey, if you would hang on 1 second, I'm going to close the show out. And if you just hold on 1 second real quick.
Okay.
Thanks. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for checking out this show and catching this interview with Danny. I really appreciate you guys for watching it. Again, these young players out there, they need support. Of course, there's financial support they need, but they also need our support as darts players. So if there's any way you can support a youth, I recommend that you do that. And you can do that by helping maybe the youth in your area. Monday evening, I do want to let you guys know that Monday evening, speaking of the Championship Darts circuit, I'm going to have 2 of the principal guys or guys that help run the Championship Darts circuit on in the evening. They'll be on at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And that is going to be Peter Satira, sorry if I'm butchering that, and then Anthony Eugenia, who was commenting earlier. So they're both going to be on the show. We're going to talk about what's coming up with the Championship Darts circuit and just kind of how they run things. And so that should be a really great, interesting conversation. Thanks again, everybody, for checking out the show. Don't forget to check out Shot Darts at shotdarts.com and, of course, Magicwear over at Magicwear. I will see you guys on Monday. Enjoy the darts this weekend. Remember, it is on at pdc.tv. All right, have a good one. Talk to you guys later.